Alright, hello people. What is happening? Let's try to get my audio levels correct here, so blah blah blah. How are these levels looking and feeling? Hey Tutu, hey Jake. Welcome back. How's the audio? I realized after the last stream, someone asked me about the funny text-to-speech mistakes that the model make, and I had to find the correct place. I actually listened to my previous stream VOD, and I realized that the music was almost completely well, it was way too low. You are a little quiet. Oh, okay. Let's try to boost this level here a little bit. How's this? Is this better? Maybe it will work out. Do let me know if I need to boost it even more. But I don't want to blow out your ears here, so I'm gonna try to be careful with these things. A bit better. Well, let me actually bring it up a bit more then, because I think I've actually been a little quiet on some of my previous streams. So how about this? Is this better? And how's the sort of balance with the music? Let's assume it is a little better. I'm gonna bring the music down ever so slightly. We're probably going to mute the music every now and then, as we usually do when we have some interesting audio coming from the game itself here. But let's get the visual out of the way there. So, what's up everyone? I've been working basically all weekend on re-implementing my interaction system. And you might be wondering, what is that? What is the interaction system? Well, the interaction system is basically the thing in the gameplay code which allows the player to interact with things, right? So you drive around, and then you come across a vehicle. There's another scout here. And you can drive up to it, and it says press Y to switch vehicle, right? This is one form of interaction. It is the system that kind of like enables that when you are close enough to the vehicle. It's also the system that disables it like this when you're driving too fast, right? So you need to like be stationary or almost stationary to be able to do that. That sort of thing. Right, that's one interaction. Another interaction is happening here with these interaction areas, as they are called. So if we spawn another vehicle here, scout. Let me just drive in under this thing. This one is activated by you driving over it. You can press E to spawn a power cell there. And then this one actually has a script where it kind of like re-enables the thing. If you are playing the campaign, you can actually only spawn one, but like here in this free roaming mode, you can basically spawn an infinite number of these things. As many as the game engine handles, basically. Which is quite a few. So these are all kind of interactions, and of course we have more of these interaction areas here. For example, with the monorail. Down here, there's also an interaction area, and most of these things are sort of like they're scripted. So maybe you saw just before I actually enabled the thing, it said press E to start monorail. Up here it said press E to spawn a power cell. So it has handled already for quite a long time a few different kinds of interactions, especially with these areas. And I'm gonna bring down the music a little bit more. It's a bit too overwhelming for me currently. And so this has all been well and good, but the code has been kind of a mess, like some truly spaghetti code, because it's been kind of coming together sort of organically over time. I haven't really known what I've needed from the interaction system, and so it's just been sort of like hacked together, right? So now we arrive here, and now the interaction area at this end starts, right? Or enables, activates, whatever. Press X to start monorail, or E if you're playing with a mouse and keyboard. All of this is handled by the interaction system. And yesterday, I finally had enough. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to rewrite this thing, because it's such a mess. It's almost impossible to add a new kind of interaction to this thing. So I just ended up rewriting it. It took basically 2 days, because it's kind of complicated actually, and it's networked, and it needs to work in multiplayer potentially, even though it's not like it doesn't have all the functionality in multiplayer. It still needs to kind of work with it. And I basically just finished it, or I think I finished it. Remains to be seen. I think we're gonna see here in just a second if we actually have some more bugs or not in this thing. But the main reason I wanted to rewrite this thing is that I want to hook the conversation system into it. And the conversation system is kind of like the big new thing that is going to arrive in pre-alpha 4. And it's one of the kind of like main systems driving the narrative in the game, essentially. One being the conversations, and another being the discussions or dialogue that happen during the missions itself, as you're like driving around in the missions and the levels. And so what is the conversation system? Well, it is a sort of a point and click adventure style conversation mechanic, where you can mark up things in the game world that you can sort of like talk to conceptually, and then you enter a conversation with them. So I have a test conversation here, which actually spawns another vehicle just because I haven't wanted to actually like drive up to this place every single time. So it just spawns a test vehicle for me here. You can see that it is inside of a conversation interaction area currently, which is a little weird. Like, okay, what do we need to be here to talk to, no one when no one is around? And actually, we don't get any prompts or anything. We can't really like talk to anyone. Dialogue trees. Yeah, I use ink. I can show you that in a little bit. But what we need to do here, I've just like messed with this earlier today. I have a boolean, which I need to set to true from the script to make this thing actually enable. And one reason for doing that is that I specifically want to like test that this interaction manager handles all of the like conditions and whatnot for making this happen. But if we make this conversation system enabled, we can see that okay, we get a little speech bubble thing there, which is visible even though you're not inside of the thing. You have to go kind of far away from the area for it to disappear. But most importantly, when you are inside of this thing and you have low enough speed, you can press X to talk.
Hello? Anyone in there?
And there's actually kind of a complicated conversation going on here with a character we will actually probably work on a little bit today. This character that we will talk to is called Mrs. Florence, and she is like almost like a comic relief character in the game. And so we have here the conversation that takes place with Mrs. Florence. This is Dinky. It's the editor for Dink, which is Dialogue Inc. And Dialogue Inc., of course, is a special flavor of the Ink scripting language for dialogue that some of you may have heard of. Let's see if I can find the website here for it. Yes, Inkle Studios. So Ink is a narrative scripting language for games. I'm using this, but I'm using a dialect of it called Dink, which stands for Dialogue Inc. And Dialogue Inc. has things like, you know, the speakers. For example, it knows to sort of like collect all of the lines for a given speaker. It helps with localization and that sort of stuff. No, the text-to-speech is just very placeholdery. It's kind of horrible, actually. I made my own tool to generate the text-to-speech stuff, and I kind of just like started using it because I needed to make sure that my whole like pipeline from text to the dialogue works nicely. And along the way, I've got kind of like annoyed at a lot of things in the text-to-speech output, so the tool is actually kind of advanced now because I just keep adding like one small feature after another. For example, like here, we well, this is not really the text-to-speech system, but it's like it works with the text-to-speech system. Rowan says here that we're not actually with the station, and then she's getting cut off. So I have like a tag here that specifies to the conversation system that like, okay, we're being cut off, like minimize or make the delays between this line and the next line like as small as possible, right? Stuff like that. And all of that is really difficult to develop if you don't have some kind of audio to test it with. So either I just like act out all of these things, which you can do. You can actually just like click record here, and you can record some scratch audio, or then you use text-to-speech, and I just went with the text-to-speech stuff. But yeah, the intention is definitely to use actual voice actors for this, and I'm actually in talks with some of them already, so it should be good. But of course, before I do that, I need to have the full script available for the demo. But yeah, this is basically like how it works, and without going like super deep into how Ink works right now, we have these things called knots, which are kind of like sections. So we're playing an intro section, then the player is given a few choices here, and then we kind of go to either to like this waiting time here or what happened, which is here. And then when that happens, they both go to intro wrap-up. And intro wrap-up plays a little bit of a... Well, it basically just like plays one line and has intro played to true. Then it goes to the main hub, which has, you know, kind of like in a point-and-click adventure game, you can kind of go back to the main hub where you can ask all of the questions. And then the sort of bottommost one is like, we should get going, and then it ends the whole thing. You need to have your script mostly finalized before you start VO. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, just like for everyone's sake. It's not just a question of money, although that is a very big thing, of course. But it's not just a question of money, it's just a question of like, okay, do we get the correct people to do the acting and in the correct, you know, in the right time, at the right time, do we have time to actually like cut up those recordings and add in the final versions in the game, mix them correctly, all of that, blah blah blah. So it's just like it's a whole lot of stuff. You can see that we have some extra commands here. This has been kind of like evolving quite organically as well. So some of these look like a little different. For example, we have voice commands here. These are not like native ink commands. This is something that like my runtime actually interprets. So voice 0 would be like this. It would play back the audio with essentially no filters. But since most of my characters in this game actually like conceptually sit in their cars and talk to each other over radio, we have the second voice template, as it is called, uses the radio effects. As you can see that like almost all of these start with a voice 1 command. And then we have these things called system commands. So system is actually like technically is a speaker here in Dink terms. You can see Diego, Florence, Rowan, Stellar, and then system. And system here is like a special speaker which my game doesn't actually play any lines for. Instead you can have a whole bunch of different like verbs here. Here's like play camera animation at index 0, and then it goes and plays that sort of stuff. Anyway, this goes kind of like deeper into the whole conversation system than I originally planned to go. But just to give you an idea that this is like one interaction that you might want to actually play here. So what we have here is a conversation object. It has an interaction area with like the speech bubble icon set here so that you can see the speech bubble thingy. And then it has a conversation object. And the conversation object targets a conversation in my world fact database, which like eventually goes to and reads this script. That's kind of how it works. Then you can do some like camera animations and things. Like for example, this play camera animation 0 here. This references the camera animation that we have here. This is what we did actually last stream. Added this camera animation section here to the conversation. So it goes in and plays this camera animation here, which we can find here. And we can even play it here in the editor now. Now you can sort of see that it kind of like pans around this thing. So you can now trigger like play and stop these kinds of animations during those conversations just directly from the script, which is kind of nice. Anyway, let's stop that. So what this new interaction system allows me to do, hopefully, I haven't really done a whole lot of that yet, but the plan at least is to not just have like an area like this somewhere in the level. This might be useful for some missions, but here we're actually supposed to be talking to an old lady who sits in her vehicle outside of this gate and is very upset with the fact that no one is here to welcome her into this station. And that means that we don't have actually an area here, but instead we have a vehicle, and the conversation is attached to that vehicle. Which is not something that we've been able to do before, right? Conversations have always been anchored to these interaction areas, and the only sort of interaction with other vehicles that you've been able to do is switch between them, right? Now I've made some small tests with this new system. And we should now be able to hook up basically like any kind of interaction with another vehicle or an interaction area. Or anything else really that we, want to do, but those are the two kind of paths that are implemented so far. So I was thinking we would actually do that. We would add a new vehicle here. And it's probably going to be a test vehicle. So one of these guys. The Mrs. Florence, the old lady in the vehicle, is going to have her actual vehicle. She is supposed to drive like a station wagon, basically, or like a slightly sci-fi-ish station wagon. But I don't have that mesh yet, so I think we're gonna make her a special game object which is based on this test vehicle. So then we can actually like test out that, you know, how does the interaction actually work, right? So that's kind of like the main theme for today's stream, I think, is to see if we can get that working. And I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of like bugs and other fallout from this redesign of the interaction system coming out. But let's start by adding her vehicle. So what I'm thinking here is we will base a new object type on this test vehicle type. So if we rename that just to copy its name, and then we create a new one and we call it vehicles. Florence vehicle, whatever. And then we just base it. The base type is test vehicles, like this. And then we don't want to add a specific transform component for it because it is inheriting its transform component to this, or inheriting it from this other test vehicle. So that should already give us, you know, the opportunity to place one of those vehicles in the scene, which should be handy. It doesn't let us converse, start a conversation with her yet, but that would be like the next step. So now if we go here, and this is on the Florence Gate, Conversation Florence Gate. So there's supposed to be a couple of them actually. There's supposed to be one up there at the elevator as well. But let's do this first. So here we have Florence vehicle. You can see that we have the components that we expect from the test vehicle there. She should probably stand somewhere here and be very upset with the situation. Right, and so now if we export this, the Florence vehicle should basically like behave exactly like any other test vehicle. And you should also be able to switch to it. Which I think is probably not something that we want to allow. But I've been kind of toying with the idea that, like, because she's kind of like a comic relief, maybe she would just like be very, very upset with you if you try to switch to her vehicle. But anyway, we can see that, okay, we can drive around this thing, and it kind of just like works like any other car. That's fine. So what if we now add a conversation component? And we don't have that yet, but we can copy the name here from the code. The registration name means conversation component. Conversation. Okay, yes. Like so. We need to set the conversation path to something. Yes, we need to do that. Otherwise, the engine is probably going to be very confused about us not having a conversation. So let's just reload the level editor here a little bit and see what happens. All right, so now we can see that, okay, we have all the other components from the base type, but we also have a conversation component. The conversation path is a that kind of like identifies which conversation we are playing, and these conversations don't really exist in the world, right? They're more like a cutscene that we can play. And if we copy the path here, we can see that, okay, the path to it is conv :/conversation / Mrs. Florence gate, right? So we can copy that and put it in there. And then there is this can conversation start, or can start conversation, which is actually supposed to be a boolean. We need to return whether or not we can actually start this. I'm going to return true here. You don't need this. If you don't have this, then the system kind of considers it to be okay to start the mission or the conversation. But that's probably a good thing to have there. You would also have on conversation will start, which will let us like write and set up the conversation parameters if we need to do that. And then conversation did end fires after the conversation has ended, and you can do kind of like the opposite thing. So if the conversation script, the ink script, did something interesting, and you wanna read a variable from it, because yes, ink scripts can have variables. For example, we have this has played intro variable here. Then you can sort of like you can get that information out of the conversation script and do something interesting, like spawn a game object or whatever. And then you want to do it in here. Right. These other things I think are probably pretty okay as they are right now, but I think we want to probably put in that one camera animation, because the script is actually referencing it, right? So just make that 1 and plonk that in there. And then I'm just gonna take probably like this away completely. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Just move it over there so that we don't actually accidentally stand inside of it when it's over here. I can remove it later. It's not a big deal. So with a little bit of luck, we should now be able to actually talk to this lady here, and she will be very unhappy with us because she's written that way, unfortunately. But the interesting thing here is that that we are now essentially talking directly to a vehicle, right? That's the new thing here that we haven't been able to do before. So let's load the conversation layer, and here is, and you can see, aha, some new stuff. First of all, we have 2 icons now, so they need to kind of like, you know, go next to each other, because we have actually 2 actions. We can press E to talk, and we can press F to switch to vehicle, and it kind of shows each icon here to tell you which one you actually are going to be switching to. So if we have another scout here, for example, you can see like this. Right, now we would actually be switching to this guy. And now we can switch back to that guy. But we can't actually talk to this guy. We can only talk to this guy. So it kind of shows you that, okay, like, yeah, all right, we can. It basically shows you which one is the target that you're going to be actually using, right? So let's actually drive this vehicle away a little bit here. I'm sure Mrs. Florence would not approve if we did that, actually. Yeah, we can see that. Okay, she has a conversation icon there. Hi Sky03, welcome to the stream. Right, so she has a conversation icon, meaning that she can actually be talked to if we drive close enough to her. Close enough to her is... Yeah, this is not close enough. You need to be almost stationary again. This is not close enough to actually like to talk. I think the distance is actually the same as the switch distance, to be honest. Like if we glide back, they should essentially both go away. Yeah, they both go away, but I made it so that the marker icon there kind of stays a bit longer for the conversation, because otherwise you would really not have any idea which vehicles you could talk to if they required you to drive up to them. Absolutely drive up to them and ask, hello, can I talk to you? By the way, we should be able to talk to her now, so let's try that.
Hello? Anyone in there? Oh, finally someone shows up. I have been sitting here for I don't know how long, waiting for someone to do their job and open this gate.
And I want to reiterate here, this is just text-to-speech temporary dialogue generated using a pretty bad TTS, some sort of AI model, something or other. It's not something that's going to go into the game, just so we're clear on that path.
We're not actually with the station, I am Abigail Florence, I'll have you know. And I have been waiting here all morning. Okay, Mrs. Florence, but we're just a cargo crew. I need to get up to the plateau and nobody has come to let me through. Ma'am, the power is down. The whole station is. Did you hear me? Florence. Abigail.
And we should actually momentarily get one of those camera animations, which are actually not tied to this object, but they are like modeled in world space. So these guys might actually be kind of like outside of the view there. Let's see what happens.
Florence.
Is that supposed to mean something?
I am a Florence. We built half of what you see on this plateau. And now I can't even get a simple gate opened. It's disgraceful.
She's not going
Yeah.
to be much help.
So like this thing here.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Right, so now we've arrived at this like intro choice. You can ask, okay, how long have you been waiting? Do you know what happened? You can see that we don't actually have a leave option here, because this is kind of like setting up the entire scene, and the game kind of wants you to proceed a little bit further at least.
What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The service at this establishment has completely fallen apart. There used to be people here around the clock. Now, nobody. Well, until you lot showed up.
Yeah, and now the camera animation stopped, and there was no other command there to do anything with it, so it just kind of snaps back to this default orbiting conversation camera.
I arrived this morning, and the place was completely deserted. The display above the gate says the power is out.
And you can of course also skip these if you don't want to listen to them.
Are you going to open the gate or not?
All right, and now we get to the main hub. So here we can ask, what did your family do exactly? Blah blah blah. Well, we should just get going.
I'll be right here, waiting, as usual.
And then we go back to this, and so that's pretty cool, because now we actually have like essentially like an interactable thing which drives around the world. I know that's not really all that exciting, since we've essentially had that with the vehicle switching for ages, right? Like this stuff. But I think it's pretty cool, because this now allows me to really kind of add any sort of interaction that I want to these things. I think we're still only going to have like 2 basically, because you know you have X and Y buttons there on the gamepad to really do this sort of like interaction thing. But the code is now written in such a way that you can just like add a new type of interaction kind of easily, and it should be pretty good. So one thing I want to try immediately here is like, what if she actually drives away? Does the interaction manager handle that correctly? So it should basically like it should disable the press E to talk thing when we are out of range. I think that's probably gonna work. We can try sort of doing the same thing here. If we just switch to another avatar, which is, you know, too far away to actually talk with her, it should do the same thing. But let's see if we can make that happen. That should be possible to do. We need to go into her AI brain component, and let's add a function here. Dev function, drive away, or something like that. And then we'll add a waypoint here, which is probably like over there. Oh, let's add it to the correct layer. Right, so here's a waypoint. We'll just ask her to like drive over there. Drive over there, please. And let's see if I can remember how to do that. So AI brain, self, move to object. I wonder if it's that easy actually. I'm gonna keep that around because my autocomplete here is kind of pants. So target that would be level objects, waypoint, AI driving speed, normal, deactivate driving AI post movement, or I don't know, true, I guess, whatever. That at least builds. So let's see if that works. GLaDOS over here. Yeah, it's a little GLaDOSy. Some of those voices are really kind of nice. Some of them are pretty terrible. Stellar's voice in particular, as we looked at in last stream, is just completely broken in some situations. Okay, so we have this thing here. We can talk to her. Hello. Just skip through this intro here. So I'm just gonna skip here. We should get going. And now if we talk to her again,
Haven't you opened that gate yet?
she kind of remembers it, and that all comes from the ink script itself. So if you talk to her once, she's like, "What? Still haven't opened that gate, you lazy bastards!" And then you can go straight to here, and we're like, "Yeah, hurry up, blah blah." Okay, let's ask her to drive away. Alright, so it does actually seem to work pretty nicely. And now let's see if can we talk to her if we drive over here. Yeah.
Haven't you opened that gate yet? Yes, well, do hurry up.
And her responses should actually be somewhat random. So we go to the main hub. We heard that line, but this is a shuffle, so she will choose from any of those. And then when we say we need to get going, she will choose from any of these.
I'm still waiting, you know. About time you did something useful. Go on then.
So we can hear that, like,
I'm still waiting. About time you...
Sometimes you get the same ones just over and over.
Are you going to open? About time.
Yeah, well, anyway, all of that comes from the ink runtime and the ink script actually doing stuff. However, we can still do this, and I think we should not let the player actually switch to her vehicle. And let's see, how can we prevent that? I think that is actually a flag on the means vehicle component. Yeah, it's right here, switchable. Okay. Okay. Yeah, in a previous stream we added this feature here. Overwrites a previous component with the same name. It's a pretty recent feature. I think I've only actually used it in the Flying Scout mod so far. But what we basically can do with this is, if we go and have a look here at the actual like file where this is stored. So here's test vehicle, and test vehicle has a means vehicle component like this, is right here, and we'll just copy that guy and we put it in the Florence vehicle right here. So I'm gonna add it above this conversation. Save. Now if we reload this guy, and now we can see that, okay, now we have those two components here in the Florence vehicle as well. If we now try to run the game, it will probably just break. Probably actually give us an assert that we're doing something incorrect as soon as we load the relevant layers. Yeah, there's already a component named conversation blah 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 means vehicle. Yes. That's not good, but if we overwrite this thing, it now says OVR here, and now we should be able to just set that to be not switchable. So but what this overwriting means is that any component that appears later in the list with the same name, which is this means vehicle thing here, it will just overwrite the previous one. And you can overwrite things in the base class, which should be exactly what we need here for this business. So let's try this. This should now work, and now we should no longer be able to switch to her vehicle. We should, however, still be able to talk to her, and that's the important part here. Yes, look at this. Now we have only press X to talk. No switching allowed. Drive away. And we can even actually make that icon switch when you can talk to them. I just use the same icon now for both like the far away icon, which is this one here, when you're like far away that you can see the icon, but you're not close enough to actually start the conversation. That's like stage 1, and then stage 2 is like when you are close enough that you can actually do the talking. And vehicle switching actually works now completely on stage 2, right? Because we need to be very close for the icon there to show up at all. That vehicle switching icon. If you drive away, it actually goes away immediately when you are too far away from the thing. The conversation icon does not, as we covered previously. So you should be able to see from pretty far away that, like, okay, you can actually talk to this person here.
Hello? Anyone in there?
All right. That's pretty cool. So far, seems to be working exactly how I imagined it. Now then, the interesting thing here is like, okay, we have this case during the mission where the gate will open, and when the gate opens, if Mrs. Florence is still waiting for the gate to open, open main gate, rip. Oh, actually, we can try this. We can try this out immediately here. I'm just going to move this waypoint, which is in here, inside the gate, right? Actually, it needs to go up there, but we'll just try with this. This is just a temporary thing anyway. Let's call it Florence waypoint. And then we need to make this Florence waypoint as well. So now if we ask her, okay, please drive here, she should not actually be able to do it, right? Because there's literally no path for her to do that. But if we open the gate, she should be able to do it. And if we add a trigger here, trigger, blunk, let's make it a sphere, let's make it maybe 10 is a bit much, let's use 5. 5 is probably enough. Maybe 3 is enough, actually. And when an object is entered, if object equals level objects Florence vehicle. So if it is that vehicle which has entered this thing, then we send, or actually it's called self.send message to object, and the message that we send is like, you know, next conversation or something like that, right? Because I'm thinking that we will probably want to change this conversation path to be something else in that case, right? There's supposed to be another conversation up there on the when she's inside the base. Another option is actually something that I'm only now considering, is the fact that we can maybe set a variable and then have the script just take another path, right? That might actually be even more. That's something that we can do even now. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that instead. So basically, when we talk to her and she hasn't gotten here, she should say the things that she currently says. But if she has reached this position here, she should say something completely different, and then, like in the final game, divert to a completely different conversation. So I think that's what we're going to do. And as a very basic test, I'm going to add a variable. So let's go to where it means dink is right there. Nope. Let's add a variable here. Let's call it inside station, and its value is false, right? And when we play the conversation, we typically go to main hub. And here we can do, okay, if we haven't played the intro, then we play the intro, right? That's what that means. But if we are inside the station, the syntax is a little strange, so I need to kind of like just, you know, look things up. Inside station test or whatever. Let's add a not called that. So I'm gonna copy these. Inside station test. Right, and then 3 equal signs inside station test. And she can say, what should she say in this case? Probably, yay, I am inside the station. Thank you so much. Actually, she's not gonna be this you know, forthcoming at all in the game. She's gonna be kind of angry at you because the elevator is not working. But you know, let's make it a bit more positive in this stream. I was just about to say that the syntax of this dinky thing is quite strange. All special characters on the keyboard used for something. Yeah. To be clear, this is actually not Dink's fault. I think Dink actually makes it very clear what is happening. But yeah, the ink script, which Dink is based on, has like a whole bunch of strange things happening. Let's see, there is a pretty handy and very thorough guide called Writing with Ink. And you can see that like has all kinds of things here. The thing that I had some issues with, at least in the very beginning, is like that they have a lot of like very strange terms, right? So okay, they have like, okay, content, that doesn't really mean anything but choices. Okay, choices is fine. You know, you can have choices like this. You can have multiple choices, and they each kind of result in some dialogue being played back or presented. But then they have like nots, diverts, gathers, tracking a weave. So you're like, okay, what does any of that mean? Nots is quite simply just like a piece of the story. So actually the thing we just wrote is a knot. This thing, that's a knot. And then a stitch is, do we have any stitches here? Yeah, these are stitches. So if you write intro and then you write waiting time with just a single equal sign, then this waiting time is kind of like a section under this intro. Stuff like that. It takes a little bit of time to get used to them. Yeah, ink is actually very cool. Very cool when you get used to it. Anyway, okay, so we have two variables. Inside station is false by default. And if we are inside the station here, then we do a divert. This is a divert with an arrow. And that means that we are sort of like, we're leaving main hub here. And we're going to inside station test. Then we come here, and Florence says, "Yay, I'm inside the station, thank you so much." And then we end the whole conversation. So everything just ends. There are also so-called tunnels, which you can use to, like, if you're considering it more from like a classical programming perspective, that you have, you know, your main function is this main hub here, and then you want to go somewhere else. Then you can use a tunnel, and in that case it looks like this, where you have like inside test station and then you like continue. So that's now a tunnel. Then rather than doing end, we do two diverts like this. This would now mean that we would play this inside test station. She would say this thing, and then we would like jump back to here, and then we would continue. Blah blah blah. But yeah, let's just end it for now and see what happens. So we have a few new things here. We have a new line, right? And that new line also needs audio, because of course it does. So I'm gonna run my little my little batch file here, build conversation Florence Gate, you can see that it does a whole bunch of things. It converts the dink into standard ink. Then it generates some screenplays. And then it generates the audio. So we have one new audio file here inside test station MIYO. It should go here. Here we go.
Yay, I am inside the station. Thank you so much.
Right, so she's very excited. And you can hear that all of these are actually clear audio.
Right.
Oh, well, since you asked.
So the radio effects and all of that, that's being added by the game at runtime. We also have some screenplays. Actually, they don't go there, they go here, screenplays. So Florence Gate, we can look at Florence, and we get a nice PDF here. We get all of her lines. And we should have a new section here at some point. Waiting time, what happened, intro wrap up, inside test station. Yay, I'm inside the station, thank you so much. So like I have a pretty good sort of full pipeline for potentially handing this off to a voice actor or whatever. Yeah, we generated 1, we skipped 56. Nothing got deleted. So that's that. The only thing we now need to actually get this thing into the game is to hook up the writing of that variable, and we need to regenerate our audio project here because we got like more stuff added to the sound banks. This actually takes quite a long time these days with all of these. Like you can see it kind of like running through all of this. Here's like the Florence Gate stuff. So I need to add some cache to this so it doesn't need to do all of this every time I add a line to it. Yeah, 23 seconds. It's a little annoying. But anyway, that's it. And now we just need to poke at this guy to make it happen, and we can try it immediately here by doing conversation. Conversation will start self write ink bool. Inside station, we set that to true. Right, so on conversation will start. This fires before the conversation starts. We're setting the inside station boolean to true. So now we should, well, we still actually play the intro. But once we have played the intro, she should be very excited about being inside the station. If we move this before that, now we should not even have to listen to that intro. Just right here. I need to just export this thing. Now there's no voice lines to generate or anything like that because we didn't actually change the line, right? Yes. Let's try this. See what happens. So press E to talk.
Yay, I am inside the station. Thank you so much.
Right, and then we go back.
Yay, I am inside the station. Thank you so much.
She's so kind. Okay. That of course is not really what we want. We don't wanna set that there. Instead what we want is we want to use this trigger here. And let's print an info here. Florence hit trigger. And then we send the message next conversation to the object which actually entered, which was the Florence vehicle. And then here in conversation, if we get a message, message is next conversation. Then we do this. Right. There we go. That should be it. I think that should be everything we need, actually. And if we go to the AI brain stuff again, we have the drive away. Drive inside station. That's maybe the better name for that function now. She tries to drive inside. And whether or not she succeeds depends on if she can find a nav mesh path to the thing, right? All right. So, hello to you.
Hello? Oh, finally.
And we can skip through the intro again.
Yeah. So nobody. That is. Some haven't.
Okay, we should get going. And now, if we talk to her again,
Well, are you going to open the gate or not?
she's just as angry at us as she always is. But of course, if we now run the thing, she's driving inside the station. Movement finished. Result path not found. So that's that means that okay, she couldn't actually find her way there. And you know we can use this result here to drive something in the game. We're just not doing it currently. But if we open the main gate and then we ask her. Drive inside station. No? Huh. Oh. You know what I did? I added no, it's that one. I added true here. We should probably not do that because that no, sorry, that's not the one. It's the other one. It's the AI brain here. That true disables her AI brain when the comment or the command has been carried out. So I think that's probably what happened. Like the command didn't succeed, but it still got disabled. I mean, you might argue that that's a bug. But anyway, we don't really want to do that. We want to keep her brain running. We don't want to make her brain dead just because she couldn't find her way. Let's try that again. So this doesn't work, but if we open the main gate and we ask her to drive, now she's driving. Hey, look at that. Oh, hey, whoa, whoa. This was null pointer. Oh. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know what this is about. This is about the fact that in the conversation component, we have these set, what was it called? Right ink bool. It's not actually that one. It's here. It's right ink bool is right here. Booms. This one. No, that's read ink bool. Right ink bool is here. Set active conversation. set inc bool, like that. And this active conversation is going to be null until we actually start the conversation. Yeah, set right there, actually. Okay, that's stupid. We can work around it, though, by writing it to a temporary inside station is false. And we set, I will just do it like this, set that to true. And then when the conversation starts, we set that, because by this point, the active conversation will have been set. But yeah, that's kind of stupid. That's kind of stupid. We should fix that, actually. But let's just make sure that this actually works. Yeah, because this will call on conversation will start. Here's the prepare call, execute call. So inside of this line here is actually where this void on conversation will start is fired, all of this. So at this point, we do have the conversation because it's set right there, right? So yeah, we should definitely get that before we do anything else. And we should have the path to it here. Conversation path is right there. And conversation path here is probably just used to, yeah, we get the conversation. Here it is. So we should do the same thing there, actually. Conversation is going to be valid for the entirety of the program, of the lifetime of the game. Whether it has actually been started or not. So, all right. Hello to you again.
She's not going to be much help.
I know. Blah 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 blah.
I'll be right here, waiting, as usual.
Okay. Drive inside station. Well, you can do that. Okay. Open main gate and drive inside station. Now you suddenly can. Let's see what happens now. She arrives at the place. Okay, we got the Florence hit trigger. Yeah, this cannot start business is something I need to take away. But now she should be very excited by the fact that she's inside the base.
Yay, I am inside the station. Thank you so much.
Okay, so that's good. Let's fix that crash bug, though. And that cannot start business actually comes from this area here. This guy. Yeah, cannot start. We have a print there. So let's just get rid of that. Bye-bye. But yeah, this is stupid. Let's get rid of this hack here. And we should be able to do this directly. So just to verify here, if I load the conversation, I open the main gate and I ask her to drive inside, we shouldn't need to do anything here. We should just be able to wait and the game should crash. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, so conversation component. Let's see. active conversation is there. Good. Yep, that's fine. We don't want to do this. We want to just set that. I mean, we could assert that it is the same thing coming in there, but like, and we don't want to do that either. I don't want to set that to anything. Just let it actually be set completely. And a conversation manager or interaction manager. No, conversation manager. Sorry, this one did something interesting here where it prints an error message here if it doesn't exist. So I think we should do that as well. Conversation component. Yeah, I think this only really needs to be set on the server, but guess we can probably set it on both, but I'm just gonna copy this here. So self conversation path. What does it want? Does it want a yes? It wants a const U8 slice. Okay. Let's not have a basis printf here. Let's instead print it so it's slightly more visible. Let's use the debug overlay and debug warning. Like so. And that's the same thing. We want that there. And this is, of course, conversation component. Okay, let's try that. Oh, access denied, of course. I do actually have hot reload support these days, but the level editor doesn't run with it by default. Like, you need to run the game in a special mode for hot reload to be available to you. Otherwise the process will block the DLL file. And so with the level editor it typically doesn't work, but with the game it works. Alright, so now it shouldn't crash anymore. Except it does. Okay, that's interesting. What's going on? So CPP pointer is still 0. Oh, is this on the client? No, it's the server. Okay. Let's look at this one more time. So if we are on the server. Oh, I'm just stupid. Self-active conversation. Here we go. Yeah, maybe write it to something that's going to actually leave out the function there. How about that? And believe it or not, on a sort of more long-term perspective, all of this stuff has been planned for like ages and ages, and I wasn't really ever kind of sure if I would be able to pull off this thing. That's why we're still kind of like hanging around in this level here. But we only really have a few more things that I want to actually add to this level. This conversation system has been like a pretty massive thing to add because of all kinds of things. Oh, we can't talk to her. Why can't we talk to her? Oh. Let's have a look, see here. Is there... Yeah. Yeah, this is the problem here. Well, I can demonstrate the hot reloading here. We can just take that out and comment that. Comment that out, and we should be able to talk to her again when the thing actually builds. She's right now. There you can see. Yay!
Inside the station. Thank you so much.
Right. So. I can get rid of that. So the idea with this was that, like, okay, can start conversation is kind of like that's the predicate which runs, and it runs actually all the time now that we're this close to the thing, so we can see that yes, we get a breakpoint here. And the idea with this line here was that, like, okay, if we have an active conversation, then we shouldn't be able to start one. But of course now the active conversation it's not really the active conversation anymore. It's more like the conversation for this object, whether it's active or not.
Yay! I am inside the state.
And the idea with it was actually that, like, this icon here would be removed during the conversation. That's why I added it there. Now I took it away, I commented it out,
So much.
and now of course the icon is there again, because I don't really want it there during the conversations. So let's do a little bit of renaming here. Let's call that the conversation, quite simply. Rename all of these as well. I think we will quite simply have a boolean which will be like is conversation active bool, and starts up as false, right? And then we will set it, well, if self dot is conversation active, then we return false. And here we'll do self is conversation active true, and self dot is conversation active false, like this. Oh, that needs to go up there. I don't like that early out. Let's take it away and let's wrap these inside of curly braces instead, so we mirror this thing down here. I think that's probably better. And now we can hot reload this thing.
Yay! I am inside the station.
This thing should even go away during the thing if we can. Well, all right. Oh, I broke it. I broke it again. Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. If conversation is active, return false. Okay. Conversation did end. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think this might be just a very unfortunate hot reloading thing. If we bring that back, I think we should be able to talk to her again. Yep. All right. And now let's bring this thing back. So if conversation is active, then we can't start the conversation, right? But this thing should set it to false when it ends. So it should be fine. We can still talk to her. We can still... Now if we start the conversation, we shouldn't see the icon there during the conversation. And we don't.
Inside the station. Thank you so much.
And now it comes back when it ends.
Yay.
Yeah. All right. That's what I wanted. It was just a very unfortunate sort of timing to hot reload the thing. Okay. Excellent. Maybe we should do, just for good measure, do one sort of clean run through the thing without any kind of hot reloading weirdness going on. So open the gate, drive inside. Yeah. It just works. It just works. Pretty cool. There's one thing with this which is like maybe slightly annoying. That's the fact that I bet those icons actually show through things like that. Yeah, you can see that there's a HUD marker there that's showing through the cliff. Whether that's actually like something to really care about or not, I don't know. Probably not. But, you know. Such is life. One other thing that we could try is making it so that you can only talk to her once, and making sure that the interaction manager handles that. So if we talk to her, we can set a variable here in the conversation object script. We don't need to go into the ink script for this. Just add here a bool has talked or something, false. And then on conversation did end, we set this to true. And then, you know, we can start the conversation if we have not talked to her already, right? So that should mean that you should basically be able to talk to her once and not anymore. And in the final game, maybe you will be able to make her so angry at you by doing something like lifting her vehicle up with the cargo crane or something, that she doesn't want to talk to you anymore at all. And then we can hook that into the whole thing. And you can also just like say something so very, very inappropriate or whatever that she doesn't want to talk to you anymore, and that we can handle using an ink variable that we then read after the conversation has ended and hook that way. Right, so press X to talk.
Yay.
I'm inside the station, and now we can no longer talk to her. Now she's just a regular old game object. Okay, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I need to basically restructure my conversations with her a little bit so that this other conversation, which is supposed to take place up here in the elevator, actually is part of the same conversation. We just branch off early based on some condition somewhere, which is set basically like when she has reached the lift station. And we don't actually even need, we don't need this guy here, trigger, because we already have a lift station, what's it called, trigger area. Let's see, it's probably part of the mission actually. Here we go, lift station trigger area. So here we're checking like, okay, if we're on the server and the object that entered is this single player avatar, then we set this mission to, we send a message to the control script. Player currently inside station. Player currently inside station is sort of like a world fact. I'm clicking the wrong things. This is the one I want. Player currently inside station is right here. So we could have a world fact for Mrs. Florence here as well. And then basically when we start the conversation with her, it checks, is she inside of the station or not? Because this thing also handles exiting the station. Station volume, basically. So that should be pretty good. All right, guys, I'm gonna take like a small toilet break and go get a glass of water, and then we're gonna potentially turn our attention to something else. We'll see. But I will be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Probably closer to 5. Shouldn't take that long. Let's put on a quick break visual. And I'll see you in a bit. Righty then, we are back. Let's get the visual out of the way there. Alright, well, I'm now in the precarious situation where this has actually kind of just been working. I was sort of planning to or preparing myself to have to do like a whole bunch of fixing over the course of this stream, but everything has just kind of like been working out, and basically the next thing that I would need to do is finish up the script for our dear Mrs. Florence here. Good luck, man. You got this, says Franzoni. Thank you, thank you. I hope I do. I'm doubting that every single day, but I hope I do. Anyway, what I was about to say was that I had planned to do just a whole bunch of fixing here, but it seems like I don't really have to do a whole bunch of fixing. And my next sort of piece of work, if you will, is not necessarily all that fun for you guys to watch. We do have quite a few viewers, though. That's nice. Welcome, everyone. It's been very, very slow with this new this separate live stream channel, but it's finally gaining a little bit of traction. That's always fun to watch or fun to see. But do you guys have anything that you would like me to cover right now? This is not something I normally do. Typically, I have sort of like so much stuff on my plate that I just run from one thing to another. But do you have any questions that you would want me to answer right now? Because I'm in this position where I basically did everything I was thinking of doing in this stream. Or should I just quite simply pick the next thing off my list here? Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. In the meantime, I will have a look here and see if there's any like low-hanging fruit things remaining on my tech to-do list for the conversation system. Jake says, happens to me all the time. I get what I wanted done in like half an hour and I don't know what to do next. That doesn't happen to me at all. Typically I stream until I'm like kind of like, well, either I run out of time and I just have to go, you know, do things in real life, so to speak, or then I'm just like so completely drained that I have to stop. You could work on that red card. Looks like it needs some love. Yes, I actually I did a little bit of scouting here. Here's my Pinterest from my other screen. Let's see, Florence car. I made a Pinterest sort of, what is this called? What the hell is this called? Is this called like a table or a board? Board is what it's called. So my sort of original design for it was that it was supposed to be sort of like a station wagon of some kind. Not exactly sure what I'll end up doing, but it's supposed to be kind of small and cute and you know, decidedly less sort of brutal and functional compared to these to the cruise vehicles. But yeah, well, we could do that maybe. We could do that maybe. That's kind of like a completely new thing, though. That I'm not sure if I'm like necessarily in the mindset of doing after doing like basically a whole week of coding. I think I need to kind of context switch my brain into 3D art mode to be able to produce anything of quality. Right, there's been this task that I've been thinking about doing, which is like is sort of like full of holes. I don't exactly know if it's gonna work out or not. But basically the idea is that like when you talk to Mrs. Florence here, during the conversation, when the camera sort of like pans around this thing like this. Oh yeah, I added an orbit mode to this camera in this editor. This is awesome. I don't know why I haven't done that before. The camera pans around the conversation kind of like this, and we have all of these characters talking to her. It's kind of weird if your car is the only one that is actually around, and the other ones are somewhere off in the distance. Well, Mother mainly is off in the distance. So it would be kind of neat if we could teleport Mother to stand like roughly here when that happens. Or maybe we would have like a couple of different places to put her so that we can sort of determine which one of them are occupied by other objects and stuff like that. That might be kind of nice. It's not super trivial to do, though. Because teleporting actually only happens during the physics simulation. Which kind of stems from the fact that everything is driven by physics simulation here. And when we enter a conversation here, I've talked about this in previous streams, but and this actually required a fair bit of work on the tech side before I had this working. We don't actually drive the physics simulation during this phase. So what we're doing right now is we're ticking the game state, but we're not ticking the physics simulation. And that means that like if we teleport the objects right before starting the conversation, then they won't actually show in the correct place until the conversation has finished. And so we would need to give them like basically one tick extra time to move, right? Which is kind of like I can give them an extra tick, that's fine. But then of course that means that like the teleport would need to be super precise to make you know, make it look good when you've been teleported, so that nothing is in the air or anything else like that. And so that's kind of annoying. And I've been thinking about ways to actually like mitigate that. How would we actually fix that? Do you know what happened here?
I'll tell you what happened. There used to be people here. I arrived this morning, and the place was gone. The display above the gate says the power is out. Yes, well, I saw that.
The answer is that.
Sounds like everyone's already headed for the starport. Haven't you opened that gate yet?
Yeah, you can ask her if she knows another way in.
Another way in?
Yeah, because we have like these, all of these characters kind of like chiming in. It's mostly Rowan and Mrs. Florence talking. But if you are standing here just on your own and the rest of the guys are like off in the distance somewhere, well, it's kind of believable in the sense that they are talking over the radio, but it would be much nicer if Mother was standing right here, right?
Yes, well, do hurry up. I haven't got all day, you know.
So that would be nice, but it would also be nice if like physics didn't completely explode after this thing ended. So yeah, this is something I've been thinking about. I don't really have a solution for it. It's not something I plan to actually fix in this stream, but maybe we can think about it a little bit. It is of course possible. Oh, we don't have the mission running here currently. It is of course possible that you have Mother there right next to you to begin with, which is probably something we should check anyway.
There it is. Minerva lift station. Fastest way up to the plateau.
At least the elevator's still there.
Minerva station. This is Rowan Lance, comms operator of cargo platform 34. Do you copy? Listening. No answer. Let's go have a look. Adjusting position. Receiving.
Power's out.
And the gates are closed. Can we find another way in? Repositioning.
Right. So I actually have a fork in the mission script which like talks about the fact that Mrs. Florence is standing outside of the gate. It's just not really used yet. So this guy wouldn't be here because that's our actual vehicle. Like, let's ask
Listening.
Mother to come here,
Adjusting position.
pretty close.
Hello? Anyone in there? Oh, finally. Finally, someone showed. I have...
Let's just skip forward a little bit. Let's see what does this actually do to the camera animation.
Did you hear me?
Is that
I am a Florence. And now...
she's not going to be much help.
Yeah, I mean this already makes a whole lot more sense when Mother is standing there, you know, pretty close by. She should probably be even further, like, you know, a few meters forward, maybe 10 meters forward still. But anyway, now it kind of makes sense because now the whole gang is here.
What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The service at this establishment has completely fallen apart. There used to be people here around the clock. Now, nobody. Well, until you lot showed up. I arrived this morning, and the place was completely deserted. The display above the gate says the power is out. Yes, well, I saw that. That's hardly my problem, is it?
Then answers that.
Sounds like everyone's already headed for the starport. Well, are you going to open the gate or not? I'll be right here, waiting, as usual.
Right, so after that, we don't want Mother to explode and all kinds of like stuff just flying off her and whatnot. The teleporting actually works pretty well these days. It used to be that like teleporting these vehicles was just impossible. They just exploded all over the place because of all of their like actuated arms and whatnot not being teleported along with them. But that's actually mostly solved these days. They cannot teleport pretty cleanly. their cargo doesn't do that currently. That's something to fix at some point, but that shouldn't really be an issue. Oh yeah, we still have the script there, which only allows us to talk to her once. That's why Mrs. Florence isn't really all that talkative anymore. And of course, the thing is also that you might be driving Mother, right? When you're doing this talking here, you might just have switched to Mother all the way in the beginning of the mission and just driven up with her and talked to her. And of course you can even do this. You can just lift her entire vehicle off. And this should make her very, very angry. And start shouting obscenities. If you do this. You know, and then you can just like lift her somewhere where she can't find her way back, and that should probably give you a Steam achievement. That's probably a Steam achievement right there. Right, if we put her here and make sure that she actually stays there. Yep, there we go, that looks good. And then now we open the gate and we ask her to drive inside. The movement fails. Of course, we wouldn't be actually asking her to do anything like that in the game. She would just do it herself. React to the fact that the gate is open and all of that. But yeah, that should probably be an achievement if you manage to do that. Oh hey, buggeroo. Let's see, what did we do? We switched from Mother to... Oh, there's something wrong with... did the server die? Ah, it's that freaking thing. There's not a bug. I'm just blocking the input. Yeah. Yeah, the server thread got got blocked. If you do this and then you try to do something, like stuff just breaks because the I can't switch anymore. Because it tries to print something and then it like gets blocked. So yeah, it wasn't a bug. I just occasionally do that. I block the input or output rather. Block the output, and then every call to basis.print just blocks there waiting for stuff to happen. And when you run the server on another thread, and the client actually does like a fair amount of its own physics simulation, it can take a little bit of time to realize that the server is not with you anymore. But yeah, it handles these things pretty well these days too. Like if it gets blocked a little bit, it kind of snaps back. Used to just completely break if you did that. Doesn't really do that anymore. Anyway, yeah, there's some open questions here that I don't exactly know how to answer. even some things I haven't really thought about. Let's, however, make sure that this works now with Mother. So if I open this... Oh, I already got rid of my single conversation hack thing there, but actually let's cancel that. I'm gonna take this guy away. Bye-bye. It's called something like dev, isn't it? Dev. It's right here. Helper scripts. Yes, we want to get rid of that. And now export that to make it a bit closer to what the actual game is going to have. So, you know, if I switch to Mother at the very beginning of the level, and then do the interaction, let's make sure that works, because it is not unheard of that some interactions are wonky with Mother because she is so ridiculously large. I removed the wrong launch parameter there. Let's remove that one. Now launch the game. Here we go.
There it is. Minerva lift station. Fastest way up to the plateau.
At least the elevator's still there.
Minerva station. This is Ruinlands. Comms operator of cargo platform 34.
Ah!
Do you copy?
Stop!
Open. En route. No answer. Let's go have a look.
Yeah, Mother just steamrolls you if you get her in her way and don't tell her to stop. Actually, we should probably put in some more radio commands in the future. We probably at least want like a stop command and another one which is follow me or something like that, and then one which would be sort of like drive over there rather than like move here. It should be move there, and when you have that selected, I think you should have like a reticle, so you could, like in third person, kind of like show where you want your companion to move. Stuff like that. Okay, let's load in the conversation. There's our dear old friend.
And the gates are closed. Can we find another way in?
I don't know, can we? Alright, hello. Hello to you. Okay, yeah. We have the prompt there. What's the distance calculation like here? I think it's actually kind of alright.
Hello? Anyone in there? Oh, finally someone shows up.
Yeah, and it kind of just like, it makes even more sense that like these guys have this huge vehicle
She's not going to be much help.
and they have just like a very small one,
So,
so they would just talk over the radio.
about time you did something useful.
Yeah, thank you as well. I'm gonna drive over you. Yeah, I don't know. Should I make her like be very angry if you like basically move her at all? Probably. If you collide with her, she would go like, "Ah, youngsters." I think that would fit her character quite well.
Diego here. Heading over.
Okay, well, despite a little bit of a scare there that I actually had a bug, which turned out to be just me blocking the output, everything seems to be working really well. I think that's a pretty good place actually to kind of wrap this up. Not do anything today anymore, which might lead to me finding any bugs. I think I wanna end on a high note. So anyway, this was a resounding success. Everything seems to kind of like just work out, and I'm gonna have to develop this character and this discussion a bit more. But
I'll be right here, waiting, as usual.
let's leave it here for now. And maybe I'll do another stream next week when we have some other stuff to do. I think we'll do probably a 3D modeling stream. We have a few more things in this level to actually model. We have these guys here, these alarm towers. We have this house here. We have things like texturing these poles, power pylons, or whatever I'm calling them. And we probably have some like more debris and stuff like that I need to like put in. I have a few new things here too that I've actually added to this level, but it needs like a bit more just like stuff lying around. After that, I think we're like finally starting to see this level being basically like final. Some more rocks to be in the new style too. Maybe, yeah. I don't have actually that many rocks. They kind of already are in the new style, right? Like this is a cliff, and this is a rock right here. This is called Cliff 5R, and that's rock 18. So maybe some new rocks. These rocks are used in like all the levels. Behind the gate. Now that's actually done. This is done. Or do you think it needs more work? I don't blame you if you do, but it is actually done. I think the old level should still actually load. Refinery block out. Yeah, here's the old one. It still actually loads, and it looks like this. So there's a definite change here. And of course, like all of these areas are different here as well. Yeah, all the rocks should be done. I can't take redoing any more rocks in this particular level anymore. Of course, we have other levels coming down the pipe as well. We have Descent, which badly needs work. This guy has lots of rocks, like my levels tend to do. And so there's going to be a whole lot of fun to be had in this level as well. And of course, it has a whole sort of side section there that needs a lot of love put into it over there across that bridge. But yeah, the demo, the like not just the playtest, but the actual demo of the game is going to take place there in our dear old demo level, and so that's why I'm back to polishing that up, so that we can make an actual honest to god Steam demo that we put out. Hopefully with final voice acting and everything happening. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, then sooner or later I'm gonna finally get to move on to these levels here, and start like laying out the entire skeleton for the campaign. But yeah, that's not gonna happen today. Anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up right now. It's been a long weekend, and this stuff is finally starting to come together. I've been doing almost nothing but this whole conversation and narrative side now for like a month and a half, and it is really coming together quite well, I would say. But I'm kind of eager to wrap these last few things for the demo and then move on to other things. And I'm sure you guys are tired of looking at the demo level as well. So good things coming down the pipe, exciting new stuff on the horizon. If you want to support the project, do remember to go and wishlist the game on Steam. If this is interesting to you, remember to subscribe to the main channel as well as this live stream channel. And if you want to play the game, you can play pre-alpha 3 today. Just go to the Discord and get a key for the Steam playtest from over there. And thanks to everyone who came to hang out. Fun as always. And see you guys next time.